Hello and welcome back to the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. Very fun show. I am joined here, as always, by the guy who may or may not be the starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers next week. Kyle, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. That definitely does not put the 49ers in a good chance to win a football game, but I'm ready to go. I'm a little rusty, but I can warm up.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Maybe you could sort of Duck Hodges your way through. Just a lot of check down. Yeah. All right. Fun show. Definitely thanks to everyone in the chat who is here with us. I keep saying fun show. I'm giving myself a lot of credit. I mean fun weekend, not fun show. Should be a fun show.
It is a fun show. This is a fun show.
Well, we don't know. This could be a very unfun show. We have to we'll have to wait and see.
Watch this show, Jackson Kruger Sports on YouTube. #fun show.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, great endorsement there. Yeah. Anyone in the chat, thanks for joining us. If you guys have any questions, ask us questions about, again, gotta be very clear. Ask us questions about what we're talking about. If you ask them about the game we're talking about, we will try to get to those. And let's just go ahead and get into it. As we always do, starting things off with the Sunday night game. What a game it was. For a second, it looked like Minnesota was going to do it. What were your initial thoughts of this one?
Minnesota kind of dominated this one. It was really impressive. They had a ton of yards. At one point, I got to look at the plays here for the official number, but it was a ton. 83 plays to 52 plays, 449 yards. They ran the ball really well, especially when Dalvin Cook went out. The backup came in, needed really well. They had about a 2-minute brain fart in the third quarter that turned into 14 Seahawks points in the matter of seconds. And then they had the fourth down play at the very end. And then the Seahawks, that's all Russell Wilson needed was really that. And that was pretty much it. As far as the fourth down goes, I'm not necessarily against going for it because, hindsight's 2020 when you look back and say, oh, well, they didn't get the 2-point conversion. But at the same time, I'm always for playing to win, not playing to tie or playing to lose potentially. And especially if you're going against a guy like Russell Wilson, I say just play for the win, go for it on fourth. I'm okay with it. Just a tough break and good stop by the Seahawks. And then, of course, I thought Minnesota did a really good job of limiting big plays. That's the big thing when it comes to the Seahawks is, they love to throw the ball downfield and take their shots. Playing Anthony Harris and Harrison Smith way deep, they didn't take any shots until the very end. They had a couple big plays on that last drive. And that was essentially it. That was the game right there.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Minnesota had a clear strategy. They were clearly saying, here's what we're going to do. We're going to run the ball a lot, and we're going to give Russell Wilson 9 possessions this game. That was their idea. They did not want Russell Wilson to have the ball many times. They felt like they were the inferior team, which makes sense. Seattle's now 5-0, and they also felt like their best shot was to limit the possession, especially when you get up early. Then you really want to limit the possessions. And then on the flip side, play cover 4 a lot, 2 safeties deep a lot, not allow this team to beat you over the top. And it was working for a time. But yeah, there was that 3-minute stretch where Kirk Cousins he fumbled the ball. Then he threw an interception immediately after, which was just a brutal stretch. And both of those led to touchdowns. That's not great. I thought Cousins was fine outside of that, but the numbers aren't very good. 249 yards, but on 39 attempts, which it's shocking to realize that Cousins had 39 attempts. Like that did not feel like a game where a quarterback threw the ball 39 times. But yeah, I see people.
They ran so many plays.
Yeah, they really did. That's really what it came down to. I see people in the chat are talking about what do you think of the fumble call? I'm assuming that means the fumble at the end of the game. I kind of think who cares? It was, not really that. I didn't think it mattered that much.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. The one call that I was questioning that I was surprised they didn't review was the first Metcalf touchdown, or it was a drop pass. It looked like it might have been a touchdown because he got 2 steps and it looked like he was going down with the ball. That was a really close call. It ended up not being, it ended up not mattering because Metcalf got it on the 2 plays later. So, I think that I thought it was a fumble because the ball was clearly out of his hands before he threw. It goes forward off of his arm, but at the same time, I didn't think it was that big of a deal because I didn't think they were getting anywhere near a field goal anyways.
Yeah, it seems unlikely. And they're the Vikings. They have a tendency of missing key field goals anyways, so probably wouldn't have made a difference. Even on the flip side, if we're not talk about Seattle, it's always good when you are able to come out with a win, even if it's kind of a wonky one. Is there any concerns here for Seattle? I mean, Russell Wilson did throw a bad interception, but was good outside of that. Didn't get a lot of time to play. Are there concerns here for Seattle that maybe there is a blueprint that a better team could implement to defeat them?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is kind of the blueprint at the same time. I think a team can instill this game plan and be very good. I think that you look at the Seahawks and they struggle to get stops. And it's plagued them. A lot of teams have done it through the air the first few weeks of the season. And then Minnesota goes and does it on the ground this week because they have what I think is an elite rushing attack. And they did it even when Dalvin Cook was out. They went out and still ran the ball really well. I think this team can easily be scored on. This team can be controlled defensively on their defensive side. And I think that this is, if you're limiting Wilson's possessions, it doesn't matter how much he cooks. If he's only getting 9 possessions, there's going to be one times where a team's outscoring him.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. I definitely think that the defensive side of the ball, there could be something there. Sauce Boss says, the great Sauce Boss, our good buddy Sauce Boss. I was a fan of going for it on fourth because of how well they were running the ball. I also see, that seems like it's gonna be something talked to death. Personally, I said kick the field goal at the time. I think now I actually like going for it, so I do the opposite of what any rational person would do. Where after I see it doesn't work, now I've changed my mind to thinking that that's what they should have done. I think it's one of those calls where it's like that's going to get talked to death, but I think there was plenty of other calls that were probably just as big. I think you can't really go wrong either way. I don't think there was a bad decision to make either way there.
No, I don't think it was, because even if they stop you, they had to go 90 yards basically, and they did. So I mean, it was an impressive drive. That's the big thing. You can't, I think Mike Zimmer looked at it both ways, and it's a can't lose situation, although he did lose. I guess the one thing...
No, it is a can lose situation.
Yeah. I think the thing you have to look at is that, why doesn't every team just QB sneak? That's my question. Yeah. Why if you're within a yard, honestly, if you're within 2 yards, why are you not QB sneaking every time it's a fourth down?
Well, it's like... First off, not every team has Tom Brady. Secondly, one of the things I think the NFL has made a shift on is they don't give you the quarterback sneak unless it's obvious now. They used to give it to you. Now they kind of, if it seems like you got the first down, they won't give it to you unless like they know you got the first down. Where I think in the past, they used to give it to you.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, I just feel like it still hits at just such a high rate. Mm-hmm. There's not many NFL plays that hit at a certain level, crazy high level of efficiency. Even with the referee changes towards it still hits at a crazy high rate. Yeah. I feel like anytime it's close, that should just be your go-to play is a QB sneak. And if you can't do it, then that's a major problem.
Yeah, criminally underused move. I agree with that. All right. Well, we can move on now. We got to talk top story out this hour, I think. It's the thumbnail game. The Raiders upsetting the Kansas City Chiefs. What a game this was. Your last place Raiders are now 3-2. No, I will not let you go of that take. What were your thoughts on this one?
Wow, that Chiefs defense and that Raiders offense, I guess you look at it from both sides. I mean, it wasn't just impressive that they moved the ball and scored some points. It was impressive how they moved the ball. It seemed like every play was almost a chunk play. And I mean, Carr threw some great deep balls. And I mean, if you just look at the longest plays for each of these receivers, 72 for Henry Ruggs. He had another big play too. 59 for Nelson Aguilar. 42 for Hunter Renfrow. Alec Ingold had a 23-yard completion. I was off a catch and run, but still, I mean, it just seemed like everything was off of big chunk plays. And it's just crazy that a team they got Rashad Breeland back. They have Rashad Fenton. They have Tyrann Mathieu is giving up these big plays after big plays against this Raiders offense.
Yes, I had the wrong score on the banner. It's 40-32. I forgot about the last touchdown. Yeah, but yeah, no, I'm just quick. One thing, speaking of the score, this 8-point deficit, the biggest deficit of Patrick Mahomes' career, which is just absurd. The guy's never lost by 2 scores in his career. That's just insane. And yeah, I mean, Derek Carr was fantastic in this game. had over 10 yards per attempt passing. He did throw an interception, which I didn't think was a bad decision, just not a great throw. And this was a team where the Raiders, they figured out exactly how to beat this Chiefs defense. They had a complete strategy of they clearly prepared all week. They figured out exactly what to do against this Kansas City defense. To me, I think the more concerning thing for Kansas City is only one score in the second half. I think that's the more shocking story to me. I expected the Raiders to put up points in this game. I didn't expect the Chiefs to get held to one score when they were down 16 points in the fourth quarter. And I think that a lot of it was what we talked about in the previous show of this zone defense where you can get pressure. They got 3 sacks on Mahomes, and they got a significant amount of pressure otherwise against Mahomes. And I think that that's really how you can beat this Mahomes team. And not every team has the personnel to pull this off, but some do. And all that has to happen for Kansas City now is to run in one of those teams in the playoffs, and they could be in trouble.
Yeah, there are some things that were pretty surprising from the Chiefs side. They weren't really able to establish much of a running game. A lot of that was because they were playing behind, which obviously changed some things. But at the same time, I think that that's something where it's interesting because the Raiders had really struggled to stop the run, I thought, a lot of this early season. And they weren't able to establish much of anything on that side. The Raiders' defensive line was, like you said, they did a great job. Like the 3 sacks doesn't even tell the whole story. I feel like they were bothering Mahomes almost every play. I didn't think Mahomes was very good in this game, despite, he got some garbage time stats at the end. He made some really bad throws, I thought, just sailing some passes. Obviously, it's just to his standards because, that's probably a good game for a lot of quarterbacks still. So I think that there's some things that the Chiefs have to work out. I think that they, this might be a wake-up call to them now that they actually lost the game. But I don't think you look at their last 4 weeks, maybe besides the Ravens game, you've really been impressed with a lot of their performances against teams that you just look at that are probably inferior to them, and yet they just haven't looked impressive in a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, they were good even the Houston game. There was a bit weird. Like this final score ended up being a blowout, but it was a bit odd. And yeah, I mean, listen, it feels weird to be like criticizing Mahomes because his final stat line was still, I mean, he had barely over a 50% completion percentage, which is, a problem, but 340 yards still, even if it was on 43 attempts. But yeah, I think that there is a blueprint here. I think there's a way for Kansas City to figure it out. I think they have to figure it out, and they have to figure it out quickly. Also, great running at the end there by Josh Jacobs to help ice that game. And also, I love the call to go for it to win it against a good offense like Kansas City.
And when they run, a QB sneak.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Listen, but
the QB sneaks are great. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, this is a big win for the Raiders. I mean, we talked about how difficult this schedule was going to be, and this was part of the reason why I picked them to miss the playoffs in the preseason, because I just envisioned a lot of losses building up to start this season and it being tough to navigate that. I mean, now they're 3-2. They're ahead of the schedule. I mean, I thought after beating New Orleans, they were playing with house money with 2 wins. Now they got 3 wins, and they look like they can beat just about anybody in the league. This offense is really impressive. And, despite giving up 32 points, I thought this was one of their more impressive defensive performances for the season. Obviously, they did really well against the Saints as well, but I thought it was an impressive performance.
Yeah. This is definitely good. I mean, this is one they needed. I sort of felt like in that 6-game stretch, they were going to have to get 3 wins. This is their 3rd. And they're playing Tampa Bay next week, who is very much human. As
after the bye.
Yeah. They play Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is the next team they play, is what I meant to say. So, and they've shown they're human, as we saw on Thursday. So yeah. Any final thoughts on this one?
No, I think that just about covers it. I think that this is going to be. Is this considered a race now for the AFC West? Is this it's going to be interesting to see. It's a nice leg up there for the Raiders. Yeah.
No, I mean, only 1 game out now. The Dominic in the chat. No, this is a Tampa Bay Buccaneers hat, not a Chiefs hat I am wearing. Yeah. The old school Tampa Bay Buccaneers colors. That's what that is. All right. Let's get from some fun, happy news to a very disappointing. It was a fun game, but a disappointing moment in it. The top story about this one is the Dak Prescott injury. I know he's your guy. He was playing very good football this year. And of course, no one likes to see an injury like that. He's having surgery tonight. It might be as we speak as he's doing it. So not looking good for Dak. Hopefully he's able to make a recovery. What were your thoughts just on the injury before we get into the game?
It's a bummer. I mean, there's no other way really to put it. It looked gross. It was a tough injury to watch. It's a tough injury because I don't, just despite the football reasons that I've spoken highly of Dak Prescott all off season and into this season, that he deserves to be paid. And, he looked the part despite, bad performance from his team through the first few weeks. And I thought he was struggled a little bit early in this game, started to bounce back a little bit. And, that's just an unfortunate injury. It's a tough break, especially as a guy who is looking to get paid this offseason.
Yeah, maybe could have better wording than a tough break, but I get your point. I'm making a joke, but it is very it's very unfortunate. Listen, it's football. We all know the sport that they play, and hopefully he can make a recovery. The nice thing is that the Dallas Cowboys and football teams in general have the best some of the best healthcare professionals you can ask for. So hopefully it gets better. And, maybe in a weird way, this could end up being a good thing for him because he was playing at such a high level, he probably was maybe going to go back down to earth a little bit, but now we don't know. Now he's, kind of ending his season at a high level, assuming he can make a full recovery, which we don't know. But if he does, maybe it could end up getting him a couple extra bucks down the road. We'll see. No easy transition from the injury to the game, but we'll just jump in. We'll start with a question. Alex says, Jackson, do you think Andy Dalton can do good? I don't know why he's not including you in the question. I guess doesn't care about your opinion, just asking mine.
Yep.
I'll field it. Listen, Andy Dalton ended up going 9 for 11 for 111 yards. A lot of that was sort of in the final drive. Like the luxury of having a good backup quarterback is for these situations. I'll field this question over to you. We still haven't talked about the game yet, but I'll field this question over to you. Are the Cowboys screwed without Dak, or can Andy Dalton, get him to the playoffs in a bad division, or maybe even better?
I'm going to say no because of the division they're in. Right now, they're leading the division at 2-3. I guess this will kind of answer the question that everyone's had as we've gone back and forth, is that, is Dak Prescott worth, the salary that he's asking for? Because there are a lot of people that think that this offense is almost quarterback resistant because it has so many talented wide receivers. It has so many talented running backs. Obviously, it hasn't been as good of an offensive line this season, but it's still a pretty good offensive line. And, Andy Dalton was really good to end this game. He came in and did exactly what he had to do. He had a couple big throws to end the game, got the team in field goal range. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can continue to do that. I don't think he'll be as good as Dak by any means, but I think he can be a solid team. This can be a solid team still. I don't see any reason why this team shouldn't win this division still, even with Andy Dalton.
Yeah, I think they're in okay shape. Especially, I think Philadelphia is a little better than their record. Granted, their record's really bad, so it's hard to be a lot worse than their record with only one win. And I like Andy Dalton. I do think he's a solid quarterback. If he's not top 32, he's top 40. Like he's a more than capable quarterback. I found it interesting right when he came in that they really did not want him to be throwing the ball much. They were having him hand the ball off time after time after time. Yeah. And granted, that worked. So, there's a reason for it. He'll probably get, now that he's getting first team reps and getting a start, he'll probably get a bigger role. We'll kind of have to see what he can do next week. But let's talk about this week in this game. It was a wild game. And again, without the injury, this is an incredibly fun game throughout.
Yeah, it was. It was a bad defensive performance from the Cowboys, which we kind of expected. And, the Giants made some stops early and looked like they get a chance. And then, this, I hate to keep harping on the guy, but once again, this game kind of flipped with the Daniel Jones fumble. He fumbles the football, picked up, return for a touchdown. And I feel like that kind of flipped the game back in the Cowboys' favor, and they came back and won it.
Do you hate to keep harping on him?
I mean, yeah, I want everyone to succeed in the National Football League except for the Colts and Ravens who
Right.
can go to hell. But at the same time,
Yes.
I want everyone else besides those two franchises to succeed in football. And yeah, you can't turn it over. He's hanging the ball way out here, scrambling to his right, running away from a pass rush. And of course, the ball is going to get stripped. It just happens to him every time. This is what he does. He turns the ball over. He can't do that, especially when his team's winning a football game.
Yeah, no, it's not great. It's definitely not great. That's a big part of it. I thought that as a whole, this was a better offensive day for the Giants. It still wasn't a fantastic one. They did do some things well. The score is a bit higher because there were a couple splash plays on defense. My favorite moment from this game was how about Andrew Thomas getting a catch, not quite a touchdown because it was a 2-point conversion, but converting a making a catch for a 2-point conversion. I just want to talk about that for about an hour.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really creative play. Once again, someone's not accounting for the left tackle going out for a pass. The Giants, like I said, they had 34 points in this game, but they also had, like I said, they had the fumble that was returned for a touchdown. Jones fumbled that one away, and they also had 2 touchdowns called back. If I remember correctly, they had the fake field goal pass attempt that was called back, and I believe Slayton had a touchdown called back. So you can't leave points on the board, and that was just, that was the difference maker in this.
Yeah. And they also had an opportunity late to take the lead with 2 minutes left. They were not able to do so. We got to give a quick shout out to Darius Slayton as well, who ended up with over half of Daniel Jones's yards at 129 yards. And then, of course, your guy, CeeDee Lamb, 8 catches on 11 targets for 124 yards. Really impressive performance. He's been a great young player so far through 5 games.
Yeah, I mean, these rookie wide receivers continue to impress me. And every reason why I picked him as my favorite wide receiver out of the draft class just continues to show. He's wide open every time. I don't understand how he's always open. He did the same thing in Oklahoma. It just seems like he's always got 5 yards of space. It was an impressive game from him. And then, this Cowboys team, the wide receiver group for this Cowboys is pretty crazy. It's just like Michael Gallup is essentially silent the whole game and then comes up with the 2 biggest catches right at the end. He's an elite receiver too. This team is just loaded with talent on offense.
Yeah, I agree. Any final thoughts on this one?
No, I think we just about covered it. The NFC East should be relegated, but besides that, fun game overall.
Yes, I love bad divisions. Maybe I'm in the minority. I love it. Every time something like this happens, I'm always hoping for as bad of a record to be the one to make the playoffs. Like I was rooting for the Giants just so that way the Eagles would still be leading the division at 1-3-1. I love bad divisions. Don't know why. Can't explain it. It's just one of my favorite things in sports. I wasn't planning on going to this game so early, but it seems like a lot of people are talking about the Steelers-Eagles. So let's just go there now. So the Eagles, I thought they hung with Pittsburgh. I think that this is, again, Wentz, another 2 turnovers. It just can't happen. But as a whole, I thought this was a fun game. And again, the key takeaway from this one has to be the Chase Claypool with it says 3 touchdowns. I believe 1 got called back. I thought he had 4 in general. Maybe
he had a rushing touchdown too.
Rushing touchdown. That was it. That's what I'm forgetting. Yeah. Big game. Again, talking about young rookie receivers or old rookie receivers. Great game from Chase Claypool.
Yeah, I mean, he was fantastic. He had the offensive pass interference, which was questionable too. He lit this team up, and this was a bad Darius Slay performance. I'm going to go ahead and say that. I didn't think he looked very good for the Eagles today. I didn't think anyone in the secondary really looked great for the Eagles. And it was kind of a weird game, It kind of went back and forth. The Eagles, like you said, they battled. They cut it to 2, and it looked like that they might have a chance to win it. But Carson Wentz went out and did what Carson Wentz has done this year, which is turn the ball over, and it just didn't work out for them. I think that this is this team looks better than 1-3-1, but at the same time, they're also not winning football games, which is a problem.
Yeah, no, it really is. And again, we can sit here and talk about, hey, weak division, but you do have to, at a certain point, you got to be able to beat good teams if you're going to do anything this season. And they're losing to good teams and losing to bad teams as well. Some definitely things to be optimistic about. Miles Sanders, had a very good performance on this one. And Jalen Hurts with averaging 18 yards per attempt here in this one.
Oh, geez. He's going to continue to get talk as Wentz continues to turn the ball over. This was just a weird game. It looked like Pittsburgh had it pretty handily, and then all of a sudden the Eagles just came marching back, and they gave themselves a real shot to win it. Like I said, I don't know. I feel like, do we have questions about the Steelers' defense all of a sudden? Because I don't think they've looked downright impressive in any of their games for a team we had thought might be the best defense in the league.
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird because they had looked good at times. I think week one we were all like, okay, here we go, Pittsburgh defense again. I think now we're kind of realizing, okay, that was more of just Pittsburgh defense against Giants offense. They haven't looked as good, and I think I talked about this a couple weeks earlier. It's like their linebackers can't cover, and really, I mean, we did see that the Philadelphia team was able to take advantage of those linebackers. It's a concerning, and I actually think that Big Ben, listen, he didn't light it up, but again, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's pretty good. And again, this has weirdly become an offensive team, which I didn't expect.
Yeah, and I'm going to give all these teams almost some time because I think that they, I know overs are hitting at an insane rate. Maybe just because scoring's up right now, some of these teams are still working out some of their defensive stuff with COVID going on, but. Yeah. I mean, this is a defense that we thought would be smothering, which they kind of were last season, and now all of a sudden they don't look like that they can smother much of anybody. I know they got the 2 turnovers, which was enough in the end, but at the same time, you kind of expect better from this team.
Yeah, exactly. They're not a team that's going to win, the 13 to the 10 games like they were doing last year. I don't think this is not a team that I think would win with you or Duck Hodgson at quarterback this year. But you know what? They're a team that's yet to lose. So again, nitpicks here, but as a whole, when you're 4-0, you don't really care that much, I think. Also, Travis Fulgham over 100 receiving yards as well. Very good from him. And any final thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I have questions about the Steelers, but like you said, they are 4-0. They're still one of the top teams in the AFC, and this AFC North is just becoming more and more interesting by the week. Yeah,
definitely. Again, it'll be very fun to see, what happens in future weeks. And for the Eagles, all you have to do is go to play Baltimore next week. So, easy task there. Good get-right game for them there. But actually, it's very interesting. The next 3 weeks after that, they play Giants, Cowboys, Giants. So that could be a key point. That's going to be the biggest point in their season. One, they'll probably be 1-4-1. You never know. But, yeah, that could be key. Let's talk about have to have the flag at a half mast. In Atlanta, Dan Quinn and their general manager, whose name I forgot, both have been fired after kind of a weird, I feel like maybe a bit of a weird time, immediately after, like, oh, you lost by 7. This is like when Mike McCarthy got fired by the Packers after losing to the Cardinals type of timing. Usually you give them the day after. They just got rid of him right away.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it because, They didn't look good, obviously. It was a divisional matchup. They gave up 437 total yards to a Carolina Panthers team that didn't have Christian McCaffrey again. And I mean, this team might actually just be bad. We thought it might be a good offense and a bad defense. And then the last 2 weeks, the offense hasn't looked too great either in my mind. I mean, they had a big Todd Gurley game, which was surprising this week. But they just, I don't know. They're just not a good football team. It stinks to say, but it's just the truth. Carolina continues to play near flawless football. In the last 3 weeks, they have 1 turnover. They gave up no sacks today. I know this is the Atlanta defense, but they played really well. They played a great game, and they took it right to Atlanta. And I felt like they controlled throughout, even though Atlanta started to come back a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, this was I won't say it's dominating, but this was a clearly a one-sided game. If this is a 7-game series and this was game 1, you feel pretty good if you're a Panthers fan. Are we sleeping on the Panthers a little bit? I think especially on their defense. Like, their defense is kind of showing up. Like, they gave up 30 4 points to the Raiders and 31 points to Tampa Bay. But, those are two offenses who are capable. And they've kind of shut down the Chargers, which that was before Herbert. So, a little easier. 21 points against Arizona and now 16 points against the Falcons, who we maybe overrated their offense. But are we sleeping? We didn't think this Carolina defense was going to be good. Have we slept on them a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it just has to do with simply, young players showing up and being really good right away. That what's his name? I'm drawing a blank on his name. My gosh. Great content here. It's going to be Jeremy Chin, the rookie, was really good. Shaq Thompson is very good. He was very good today. I mean, this team just continues to be impressive. And like I said, they just don't make mistakes. Matt Rule is a very good coach, and he's a well-disciplined coach, and he's got a well-disciplined football team here.
Yeah, and part of me also thinks about it too. It's like I'm still not sold on playoff team yet, but listen, they're in the lead in the NFC South. Like we talk about the Saints, we talk about the Bucs. Currently, they're number one. They're tied with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but they have the tiebreaker. But yeah, part of me does wonder. It's like we usually talk about Matt Rule. It takes a couple years before it's usually his second year that things really take off. But in the NFL, the talent's a lot closer than it is in college. So maybe he can do better here. They're a very fun team to watch as well. They're electric to watch. The only positive for Atlanta, Todd Gurley looked good. 121 yards on 14 attempts and a touchdown. I don't think he's quite what he was with the Rams. I'm not sure if he'll ever be that guy, but he looked good, and he looked like a more than capable starting running back today.
No, I mean, he definitely doesn't have the explosiveness that he had, but he's definitely runs with the physicality to him. He had some just really impressive runs where he just ran through arm tackles. And then, he got the big touchdown there that, gave them, put them in the lead early. They just couldn't hold it based on the defense not being able to perform. The defense was just so bad once again. Even the 23 points, I don't think tells the whole story. Because the DJ Moore touchdown, he was wide open on a crossing route and just took it to the house because there's nobody around him. There was another play I saw that it was a third down attempt from the Panthers that they threw the ball away. The other side of the field, there's a guy wide open. It's just like you just see too many times with this Falcons defense that there's a guy without like 10 yards around him for an offensive team.
They're in thanks to Dallas, they might not be the worst coach defense, but they're definitely up there. I mean, it's atrocious how many times you'll see this Falcons team just not know what they're supposed to do. I said earlier that the defense beat the Chargers without Herbert. Herbert did actually play in that game. I misspoke, but that's besides the point. All right, yeah, I think that that's pretty much all we have there. Let's go on to kind of a surprise. One of the more surprising blowouts. Usually, you don't expect a game like this to we thought it was going to go one way, and then it gets completely gone the other way. This was a weird one. We saw that Jimmy Garoppolo got benched at a certain point. And my favorite thing is I feel like if Kyle Shanahan had done everything that he had done, but just didn't say anything about the starting quarterback job, if he was if he did, I feel like I haven't heard anyone ask, hey, I wonder who the 49ers starting quarterback is. But I've heard Kyle Shanahan a million times suggest that Jimmy Garoppolo is definitely the starting quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, it just continues to be a thing where I don't know what they have so much. I mean, obviously he was really bad today, but I don't think there's any situation where CJ Beathard it looks better than him just in terms of arm talent or anything like that. I don't think there's anything, he didn't play well today. So obviously you give him some more rest because obviously he's been hurt. He's coming off that injury. Hopefully he comes back and looks good. I don't think there should be a question who's the starter on this team. Yeah.
And I mean, yes, he's Moochie Studio in the chat says Jimmy G looks hurt. I thought so as well. Just came back from his injury. He might not have been 100. He might not have been as 100% as we thought he was. So yeah, just kind of a weird game. They also ran into Fitzmagic, who check out this stat line: 350 yards. Guess how many attempts?
I have the box score up here, but
okay. Guess anyways.
28.
Whoa, what a wild guess. That's exactly correct. Yeah, so great yards per attempt. Also 3 touchdowns, 2 and no interceptions. Again, sometimes you just run into Fitzmagic. Sometimes it just happens, and you got to say, okay, I guess we'll lose this game. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, he was awesome. I'm willing to like give this one a break, especially for the 49ers offense. I think this game this game was over before it really even started. Like the Dolphins just kind of jumped them. And, maybe Garoppolo at that point is forcing some throws that he wouldn't normally force because they're down big. But yeah, I mean, this defense just sort of jumped them. It was, the offense, excuse me, just sort of jumped them. Fitzmagic was impressive. He made some really good throws in this one. And, the defense wasn't great, but at the same time, I don't know what to think about this 49ers team because I think that they're in the toughest division and now they're 2-3. I feel like that this is going to be a tough road sledding now from here on out.
Yeah, this is one of the ones I'm definitely looking forward to checking the All-22, trying to figure out exactly what happened. Eli Mullen says, is it still time for Tua? Yeah, Kyle, still time for Tua?
No, I mean, you can't bench him now. He's rolling. He's hitting. The thing is that this is peak Fitzmagic. By week 14, he's going to be, throwing 3 picks a game instead of 3 touchdowns a game. And then you'll be asking for Tua at that point. So there's plenty of juice left in this tank. We'll see what happens.
Hey, Dolphins as many wins as the Patriots right now.
Yeah, that's true. They're 2-3. So, yeah, I guess so.
Fun win for the Dolphins. For the 49ers, just, they had a lot of injuries. They still aren't fully healthy. This might just not be their year. This might just be another one of their, hey, let's get a couple more injuries. Let's get a really good draft pick again and get another great player and go back next year. I don't know. But speaking of coming back from an injury, let's talk some balls. The Washington football team against the Rams. Alex, I don't care. Statistically, he was awful. And I thought it was also very. I have a dark sense of humor, so I found it kind of funny that the Rams were blitzing Alex Smith right when he came back onto the field. But just kind of a cool thing that happened, even if he ended up with 9 for 17 for 37 yards.
Yeah, I mean, it was like the third play he was on the field that he just got crushed by Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like you said, there's nothing but, there's not a lot of moral victories in football, but at the same time, like this was kind of a moral victory that he just got on the field, back to his check down ways of before he even got hurt. Obviously, like you said, this wasn't his best performance or anything like that, but it was just nice to see him get out on the field, which was just, like you said, a great thing to see. It was just a bad performance from the balls on offense. Aaron Donald's very good at football. That hot take.
Yes, Aaron Donald, insane. He had at least 3 sacks today. I wasn't sure if he got another one later on, but I definitely at one point he had 3 sacks. I didn't think that. Oh, he had 4. He had another one. Yeah, just insane. The fact that he's able to do what he's able to do. He's again. We had a discussion about the MVP. I don't think you can give it to a non-quarterback, but he's the best player in football, positional value taken out of the equation. I don't think there's any question. Also, I thought Kyle Allen looked all right. Like I was surprised that they never went back to him because he was healthy. And they still said, no, Alex Smith's going to be on here. I thought that Kyle Allen, maybe they just wanted to give Smith the moment, which maybe he would have rather just gotten taken out of after a couple of drives. But I thought Kyle Allen actually looked okay. I mean, Allen's problem has always been turnovers, but I feel like he's a young guy. I believe he's 24 now. Like, I think that, we kind of question the move of why get rid of Haskins just for Kyle Allen, but Allen's young too, and maybe they do have something, or at least a backup with Allen.
Yeah, he looked good to start this game. He had the touchdown that, gave them the lead too, and I thought that he was looking good until that hit. I think a lot of it just had to do was it would have been weird to take Alex Smith out at that point after everything. But yeah, I mean, I thought he was good. I hope he comes back and plays because I thought he had some promising moments early in that game.
Yeah, and I mean, like the fact that Alex Smith did so poorly, I feel like almost like is going to be a bad thing for the perception of the Rams because like had he done only not great, people would still be talking about the Rams doing well. But because he was so bad, people just assumed that he was bad. But like the Rams did still hold him to only 37 yards on 17 attempts. This LA team did win 32-10, and Jared Goff did throw for over 10 yards per attempt in this game. Like this was a good game for them.
Yeah, I thought this was a big bounce back performance from Goff. I thought he looked very timid against the Giants last week, and I thought he came out and was aggressive against a good defense, and he came out and made some plays. He obviously had the pick, but he made some really good throws in this one. This is one of those games you look at Gerald Everett and think he's a top 6 tight end in the league, and then he'll go and have like one catch for 4 yards next week, but he was awesome in this one too. Just a good performance overall.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you're supposed to do to a team that's 1-3. You make them 1-4 and make them make them look silly. Very good win for the Rams. And again, the Rams and Seahawks, they're hanging right with each other. These are, the Rams do have a loss, but these are two teams. Should be a wild. I think it's a 2-team race at this point personally, but this should be a wild race to the top.
Yeah, I agree. I think that these teams both look like legitimate contenders in the NFC, and I think that the Rams right now look like a more complete team than the Seahawks. I think that's something that they have to take and say that they feel pretty confident about because their defense looks terrific.
Yeah, I agree. Although they definitely don't have the talent of the Seahawks offense. So it's an interesting contrast between the two. Let's move on now. Another Ravens get a couple of get right games. The Bengals, clever move to kick the field goal late to make sure that you don't get shut out. I like that. I'm a big fan of that move. This was what's so interesting about the Ravens to me is they're basically saying, we're going to be schematically what we're not. We're going to not run the ball very much. We're going to instead start throwing the ball a ton, which is not really what they do, especially with Lamar Jackson. I mean, because Lamar Jackson ended the game with 2 rushes, and one of them was for -4 yards. So he's throwing the football. He threw the ball 37 times. Yep. This is a team where his running, the fact that he can run still comes into play with his scrambling, and just when he hands the ball off, you still have to be aware of a potential run. But I'm wondering what they're doing with this exactly. And part of me wonders, are they just doing this to keep against a team like the Bengals to sort of keep him, healthier for later in the season and for the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I'm attributing a lot of this Ravens performance to trying different things. I think that they're trying to tinker with the offense so that I think that they're not necessarily, because we know that the Ravens, when they run their game plan, are a very good football team. I think that they're trying different things to, like, if they have to navigate away from their game plan, how can this offense adjust and still be successful? I don't think it was a clean-cut performance from the Ravens on offense. I don't think that, there are times I thought they actually looked bad on offense, but I think that this was a game that they felt pretty comfortable they were going to win throughout, and so they just wanted to try some different things. And, listen, Lamar's going to have to make throws to win games. I've talked about this before. When the team's down, this team looks great when they go up 7-0, when they're ahead of their game plan. When they go down, this is a team that struggles because Lamar struggles to make throws when teams are expecting him to throw the football. I think that this is something that they wanted to try, get more passing game in there and see how it works out. I think that's something they're going to work out all season.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. I am a bit concerned, just personally about, I remember what the Redskins did, and they were the Redskins back then when they decided with RG3 they weren't going to have him run these RPOs very frequently. They didn't want that to happen, and he was never the same. Lamar Jackson's a good enough quarterback where even if they don't have him run the ball consistently, he can still be successful, but he won't win an MVP that way, I think. I think what makes him special is the running the football aspect of his game. And so I'm hoping that this isn't this isn't a new strategy that they're just going to do. They're not thinking like, let's have 20 years of Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think that this is a permanent thing that they're doing. I think that this is just, like you said, they're probably working to keep him healthy. And I do think that it's just trying different things on offense to try and, maximize the potential of this team and, win in a variety of different ways. I mean, they had no worries about this Bengals team. They suffocated Joe Burrow in the backfield. The defensive line was great. This wasn't a good Burrow performance. This was Burrow's worst performance of the year to me, which is expected because the Ravens are obviously a very good defense. I think my biggest takeaway from this is that has there ever been a guy who's cut on a franchise tag in the middle of a season? Because AJ Green's pretty darn close. Like, this is almost depressing to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, he just completely sells out and doesn't go for the ball on the intercepted pass, and he doesn't go for the tackle after the pass is intercepted. And, that was his only target the entire game. It was just, I don't know. He is washed. I mean, that's the only way to put it is he's washed.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. If a team were to do it, it would be the Bengals to AJ Green. Given that remember years back when they didn't start him, so he wouldn't get 1,000 yards because he had a bonus in that contract. Yeah, no, this was. Well, I'm still waiting for the Ravens offense. I've wanted to see. This was the Ravens defense I wanted to see, and this is the classic rookie quarterback thing where it's like Burrow wasn't great today. It wasn't all his fault. But sometimes this happens, but we always forget about these games with the rookie. We remember the good, don't remember the bad. Hopefully for Burrow, he remembers the bad and just enjoys the good.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game. This is growing pains. I mean, every quarterback has games like these, especially early in the season. So I think that this is just a growing pain, and he played one of the best defenses in the league. So, I mean, if anybody expected anything major out of Joe Burrow in this one, I would have been surprised. This just seemed like a game that they were going to get beat down in from the beginning.
Yes, I also see we have over 400 people in the watching us live. Record here on the sideline. So thanks for everyone checking us out live. Very much appreciate it. All right, let's move on now. I see people in the chat wanting us to talk about Colts Browns. This was a game we were very interested in seeing. This is a very good win for your Cleveland Browns. I thought that Baker Mayfield was incredible in the first half. Not as incredible in the second half. I don't think he was quite as bad as his stats might show, but the stats were not great in the second half. But a win is a win. I think the top story at this hour, Phillip Rivers, another one of those throwing the game away performances.
Yeah, I mean, this is just some egregiously bad throws from both sides of the ball in the second half. I mean, there's a couple throws here that just I think both quarterbacks would like to have back, but these are two guys who love to turn over the football, and they did it again here in the second half to make things interesting. I thought the Browns were kind of the better team throughout. They look good. Yeah, the Browns are good, man. I'm going to continue to say it. The Browns are good. Yeah, I mean, they're 4-1. It's kind of hard to say anything else. They ran the ball well. I mean, this wasn't even – I think the biggest takeaway you have to look at for the Browns is that they didn't run the ball as well as they normally do. They had under 4 yards of carry for the game, 124 yards on the ground, but under 4 yards of carry, and they still won the football game by 9 points. Browns are good. This is a good team.
Yeah, no, and they run the football without the best halfback in the game. And not only that, Kareem Hunt was banged up, and then Dearness Johnson is now coming in. This is a really good run blocking team. They could, I think, I could average 3 yards per carry with this team. I think I could do it. I'm spry.
I'll take your word for it. I'm not convinced.
Yeah, no, okay. Yeah, probably not. I think I would because I would go very hard the first run, get 3 yards, fake an injury, and then I'd be done. That's my strategy. But yeah, back to the game. Yeah, I mean, so we talked about it. I was saying, I think I said just last preview, the Phillip Rivers experiment is working. It did not work today. And do you have to start wondering, again, this is the thing with Phillip Rivers, right? Because when he's good, it's great. But when he's bad, it's awful. He's the cliche about when you're dating someone. Like it's the good, when it's good, it's great. When it's bad, it's awful type of guy.
Yeah, Phillip Rivers is just like my ex-girlfriend. Let me tell you why. So I mean, I think this is the thing I've said since the beginning. When they can get ahead of the game a little bit, and Phillip Rivers isn't asked to throw more than they have to run the football, I think that this is a very good football team. Obviously, missing Darius Leonard hurt, but they were only able to run the ball 18 times. Only got 68 yards on the ground, which is not what they want to do. And then they had to throw the ball 33 times because they fell down early to Cleveland. This is a team that they can't play this heavy passing game. They need things to go right for them in order to win football games, especially when you have a quarterback who's just gonna, if he has to throw 30 times, you might as well just pen in two interceptions. That's just what it is for him now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, both. And listen, back to the Browns for a second. Part of why I wasn't too high on the Browns was I didn't have a ton of faith in Baker Mayfield. And so far, he hasn't really been proven me wrong, but the Browns keep winning. So I guess in a way he has. And again, I thought he was good in the first half, but I think it's promising for Cleveland that Baker still hasn't got it going, and you're 4-1.
Yeah, and like I said, they didn't run the ball great. I think the one thing that Baker and what as an extension Kevin Stefanski has done really well for this passing game. We've talked all the time about the running game and what this offensive line has done and just how well in general they've run the football. I think one of the things they've done for the passing game is just simply it's just simplifying the game for him. It's play action passes, and he's got 3 guys that he can go to virtually all the time. Austin Hooper had 10 targets. Odell Beckham had 9 targets. Jarvis Landry had 9 targets. Of his 37 pass attempts, that's, oh man, now I'm doing math in my head. 28 of those 37 pass attempts went to Hooper, Landry, and OBJ. I mean, it's just simplifying and saying, hey, we have 3 incredible playmakers on our offense in the passing game. Let's make sure we get them the football as much as possible.
Yeah, I agree. It's fun stuff. They're a very fun team. We can get off the Colts Browns now. I see we have a super chat. Pastor Ray Pittman, the Ethiopizer. I don't know how you say that. What is that?
I don't know.
Okay. But he says, what do you guys think about Daniel Jones? Yeah, Kyle, you haven't talked about him at all. What do you think of Daniel Jones?
He's very bad.
All right. Good talk there. We can get off of that game now. All right. 3 games left. Usually I like to save the Thursday night game for last, but the other 2 games I really want to save those for last. I don't want to talk about them. So we'll go to Bucs Bears, my Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I missed a lot of this game live because I was watching the Rays game that were also playing that night. So I went back and watched it, and I don't think it was as bad as a lot of people were making it out to be. I think that there were definitely some mental mistakes. I think that Tom Brady not knowing what down it is just inexcusable. Like that, I know he's the GOAT. It's fine. It's not gonna. But if Jameis Winston didn't know what down it was, he would be getting crucified for it. And Brady's not getting let off the hook by it by any means. I thought people were complaining about Tampa Bay's tackle play. I didn't think it was that bad. There was a couple mental mistakes. There was bad miscommunication, and there was also Khalil Mack being Khalil Mack on a couple of plays. But I didn't think it was that bad. And I also think that this is a team that's really banged up at receiver, and that really hurt. Evans wasn't 100%. I'm not even sure if he was 50%. And we don't have Godwin, no Scotty Miller. So this is a team that, like we said going in, I think I'm just higher on Chicago than a lot of other teams are. But as a Buccaneers fan, I'm not concerned about the game. I'm concerned that Vita Vea is hurt because I don't think that we're an elite defense anymore without him.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing because this front 7 had been pretty awesome to start this season, and he's a key part to that. I think the thing that's kind of misconstrued here is that, this is the kind of, I'm trying to think of my point here. The Buccaneers moved the ball. They actually moved the ball pretty well. They had a good amount of yards. They got in the red zone 3 times. I mean, the difference in this game to me was they were 1 of 3 in the red zone. They failed to convert a lot of drives into touchdowns. It was only field goals, which, a lot of that's the Bears defense, but a lot of it was also inefficiency in the red zone. And then they also had, the penalties are going to kill you. This is the thing that's been on the Buccaneers for a lot of the season is that it's just quite simply you can't commit 11 penalties. They had one drive where Brady completed 5 passes and it ended up with a negative 2-yard drive because of penalties. That just can't happen. And then I think the only question I would have for the Buccaneers in this one was what exactly were they looking at this Bears offense? Because I don't know if you thought the same thing, but the soft coverage zone on defense, I know that this is I get it. This is, Todd Bowles is going to blitz a lot. He's going to run a soft coverage zone. This is his MO. This is what he does defensively. It's his identity. But Nick Foles did not look comfortable throwing one deep ball the entire game, first part. And second part, the entire Bears offense was essentially hitches and wheel routes. Everything was 5 yards and in, and you're sending your cornerbacks are not only starting 10 yards down the field, but they're also dropping back another 5 yards in the play. So Allen Robinson at the second half, just all he had to do was go 5 yards and stop. He could have walked for 5 yards of play. And I just didn't understand the game plan here for Bowles and what he was looking at and why he didn't adjust to that.
Yeah, I think you could make a very clear adjustment. I think, to me, what I was thinking in real time watching it, watching the replay of it was that there was, what happened was that Tampa Bay was running a lot of man coverage, and their corners were playing really, really well. I mean, they were really against, even against a guy like Allen Robinson, they were playing really good football against them. And then you clearly saw that Chicago was able to get something together by doing a lot of rub routes. So rub routes and pick plays. They were kind of scheming their way open through that. And I think the clear adjustment is just tell your guys, hey, let's start switching on these. Let's not worry about trying to fight through them. They never elected to do that, which I get it. And I think that part of the game plan is, and I think part of the reason why I'm not as worried is just because it was a Thursday night game. They had less time to prepare. So I think that factored in.
Yeah, that's probably true that, obviously with the shortened week, you're kind of just going a lot of base defenses stuff. And that, I just thought, it was, I think it was a little overreacted. I thought Tampa Bay actually played pretty well. Like I said, you got to put touchdowns on the board. You can't come out with field goals time after time after time because they were actually, in control for a lot of the game. Then the Bears put together a couple drives at the end. If those are touchdowns, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there are definite things to be concerned about, without a doubt. But I'm just saying, like, I'm not going to freak out over one loss where things went wrong. They're fixable problems. We'll see if they're able to fix them. But yeah, I mean, it's still a concerning loss. Don't get me wrong. This is a team that I feel like we should beat. I don't think the Bears are a powerhouse by any means. I think they're good. I don't think they're great. But yeah, I mean, I talked about Tampa Bay for all this. We should talk about Chicago a little bit. Khalil Mack is amazing. We all knew that. I thought what impressed me with Nick Foles, I wonder if he did a lot of sprints this offseason or something, because he looked way more mobile than he looked in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I thought he played well, especially in the second half. One of the things I questioned, too, with Matt Nagy was, there was a point there where Foles was loving the no-huddle offense. They got in the fight on the sideline about it, too, because he was going no-huddle and essentially just dumping it off for short routes and getting 5-6 yards of play. And then all of a sudden it was basically Allen Robinson too, the whole drive. And then all of a sudden Nagy calls a huddle up. He takes Allen Robinson out and then they take a shot downfield and it was almost intercepted. But at the same time, I thought it was just a great game plan overall from the Bears. I thought they did what they had to do. Foles made some good throws in this one. He continues to do that. I don't know what it is about playing Brady, but he looked at his best again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even the numbers weren't spectacular. I think he played better than the numbers, too. He ended up with 42 attempts and only 243 yards. But I think he was better than that. Also, Cordero Patterson, just electric to watch.
Yeah. I mean, he continued.
Fantastic. Yeah. I will never skip when I'm rewatching a game. I will never skip a Cordero Patterson kick return. Even if I know it's going to be like a touchback, I'm going to watch it.
I think the Bears are just obligated to get a good kick returner all the time. Every good kick returner has to go through Chicago. I think that's the rule.
They have to play for the Bears at one point. All right, let's talk about we'll save the Cardinals Jets game for last. Let's talk about Jaguars Texans. Hey, Houston Texans are not winless anymore.
Romeo Cornell, the oldest coach in NFL history to win a football game, I think.
Wow. Congratulations.
73. Look at that. This was I felt pretty comfortable with this game throughout. I thought Texans looked like a better team and they got a much needed win. We're starting to see that this is probably closer. Like I said, this is probably closer to what Jacksonville actually is compared to what they've performed at in those first couple of weeks. Deshaun Watson bounced back. He still made a few mistakes, but he bounced back and had a good game. This was just, a solid performance overall from Houston.
Yeah, I think the key takeaway from Houston is they were really able to shut James Robinson down. Not a lot of teams have been able to do that. Only 48 yards on 13 attempts. You definitely feel good about that. Also, how about Brandon Cooks? 161 yards and a touchdown. He looked good. Bill O'Brien got a lot of heat for making that move. Maybe the problem was his coaching about how he handled it. Cooks is good. So, I mean, this is what Cooks does. He'll have a 100-yard game, and then he'll have no catches the next game. But yeah, and Watson is Watson, over 10 yards per attempt. That's always how there's like the Blaine Gabbert zone for sub 5 yards per attempt. There needs to be something else for over 10 yards per attempt. We can't do Mahomes because he's still in the league. There has to be I don't know. We'll figure the Brett Favre zone. I don't know what that is, but great volume from him. And Minshew, 300 yards on 49 attempts.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was solid overall. Just I would say it was unspectacular. I thought Texans' defensive line played really well in this game. Like you said, they did a good job controlling the running game, and they forced a few turnovers, and they also got after the quarterback, 4 sacks as well. It was a pretty complete performance overall from that group.
Yes, Sauce Boss in the chat says, "Is Houston back? Is Houston back?" Kyle.
Um, I mean, they still got some catching up to do. I think that there's still some definitive holes in this team. They just got lucky they played one of the worst teams in the league. I mean, I think Jacksonville's back down to being one of the bottom 3 teams in the NFL right now.
Yeah, although again, huge game coming up Sunday. Who knows if there's going to be more schedule adjustments? But they're playing Tennessee. They're scheduled to play Tennessee this Sunday. If they can pull out a victory here, that could go a long way, and they could potentially find a way. And how fun would it be if now we have an interim head coach like leading a team on a potential playoff run?
Yeah, that would be quite the turnaround. I mean, that's the kind of teams they need to beat. They need to start racking up these division wins to get back into it. This was a big start, but I think that talent-wise, they still look behind, even with having the best quarterback in the division.
Yeah, I agree. Although I like Ryan Tannehill too, but I still do agree. All right. Let's talk Cardinals Jets. Do we have to? Yes, we do. Cardinals and the Jets. This is actually a more competitive game than maybe the score would tell you. Maybe a bit concerning for the Arizona Cardinals. They didn't quite blow out the Jets. It was kind of a slow start. They did eventually. At a certain point, I think they just realized, like, oh, wait, we have DeAndre Hopkins. Let's just start throwing it up to him a lot. And New York couldn't stop him. And that was kind of the end of it. It's kind of a low scoring game. But at the same time, even if it was a bit of a slow start, Arizona in firm control this whole time, and they were even able to beat an elite quarterback, mostly because of his supporting cast, save Joe Flacco.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Flacco, he was close. Speaking of the Gabbert zone, he was pretty close to that Gabbert zone there.
Mm-hmm.
Jamison Crowder was probably the bright spot of this team. Le'Veon Bell actually had carries, which was interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the biggest takeaway from the Jets is somehow Adam Gase is the third coach fired in the NFL this year. He's not fired yet, but he's going to be here pretty soon. So, I mean, I honestly think that they're actually just keeping him because they want Trevor Lawrence that badly. So this is just solidifying it, because this team's a mess. They don't do anything well. I mean, I can't keep saying the same thing about this team, but I know. Like, they don't do anything good. There's nothing good about this team. So besides Jamison Crowder.
Right. No, Crowder has been a bright spot. And again, I just don't know what to think of Sam Darnold, but he didn't even play today. One thing that I was going to say, it's like, I remember when the Red Sox had Bobby Valentine, right? And I felt like at a certain point, they didn't fire him just as like his punishment was he had to continue being a manager for a baseball team. Is this just the Jets at this point saying, you know what, we're going to punish Adam Gase by making him coach this horrendous team that he created?
Except he doesn't think he's doing a bad job.
I know.
You just have to listen to his press conferences. He doesn't think he's like bad. So he probably is just thinking like, oh, they'll never fire me. I mean, I don't know. Like this is, I mean, I'm going to talk about Arizona's situation here because, I mean, they looked a little unspectacular to start this game. Like you said, they finally put it together at the end. This offense, I feel like, is it weird to say I feel like it should be more explosive sometimes?
No, I mean, they're very fun to watch when they're on, but there will be some lulls. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I just feel like that there's times where I feel like, okay, this team just looks like, I mean, they have all the pieces where it looks like, oh, this team should drop 40 sometimes. And then it's just like, oh, another 6-point quarter here. Okay. I mean, I just feel like the Cardinals have more pieces on offense that they should. And then there's just times where it's just, like you said, there's a lot of lulls. The defense did look better, but they're also playing the Jets, so take it with a grain of salt. But I mean, that's just my question with the Cardinals. We were both kind of like, let's cool down the bandwagon before the season. This team still kind of feels like a year away to me.
Yeah, I do agree. They get an opportunity for some explosiveness next week, Monday Night Football against Dallas. That should be that should be an opportunity for them to really flex their muscles on offense. We'll see. I see Lamb says Jets head coach sucks balls. Hey, leave the Washington football team out of this. Okay. Yes. But I think this is. I agree with you. I think Arizona might be a year away. But yeah, any other final thoughts on this game or any other games?
No, I don't want to talk about this game anymore. Just a fun week overall. Yeah, some interesting games, some random upsets, and yeah, Miami is the most impressive team of the week. That doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
So.
Good consolation prize for Miami after the. Do you want to talk about the NBA Finals for a second?
Yeah, sure, we could talk about it. I mean, I just thought that it was a great performance from the Lakers tonight. They looked really awesome. The Miami Heat, it's just like this is what they've kind of done all series, was just, all playoffs, all bubble, is that they win 50-50 balls, they just make plays on offense, they hit tough shots, and that's kind of how they won their 2 games. And then this last game, they didn't win any 50-50 balls, it seemed like. Alex Caruso was out rebounding Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo on multiple occasions. On multiple possessions, he beat them to the ball. And, if that just happens, then, you're not going to win a game. And it was over pretty quickly. The Lakers supporting cast showed up.
Yeah. The very weird similarities between this series and the Tampa Bay Lightning series, where Game 5, it's a super close, incredible battle. The losing team wins. Everyone's thinking, okay, here we got a series, and then Game 6, just the door gets slammed. Congratulations to LeBron for 4 championships with 3 different teams. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I guess my one takeaway from this finals is that, everyone's calling it the asterisk title. I hate to break it to you people. Nobody cares that the Spurs won a lockout shortened season in 1999 when Miami Heat was the best team in the league that year. Nobody cared when the Miami Heat won in 2012 in a lockout shortened season. No one's going to care 5 years from now that this was won in a bubble. So, yeah, good job, LeBron.
Yeah, I mean, no one says, oh, well, the Blackhawks have 3 championships, but one of those was with only 50 games. I mean, and especially with basketball, it's the weirdest one because basketball basically just played it the exact same way. Like, there was very minor differences in basketball compared to any other sports. So yeah, I don't know why people are. But I think people just don't like. I think people just want it to go a certain way in and out. I feel like no Lakers fan is saying, I'm glad we won, but there is kind of an asterisk there.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I think that it's, any team that wins a title is going to think it's a legitimate title. So I don't think anyone's going to care in the end. Oh, geez. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Hey, Title Bay coming true. The Rays. Now, we're about to wrap the show up. I wanted to, my initial intro, I had the Mike Brissot home run of the Yankees. I was going to put that over the podcast intro at the beginning with set the Titanic music. I saw I saw it on Reddit. I was going to put that on here, but it was copyright claimed, and I didn't want the live to get taken down 10 seconds in, so I decided to not go with that. Yeah,
I mean, what an incredible at bat that was, though.
I know.
Just an incredible at bat, working that count, fighting off pitch after pitch. Made a great hit too off a great pitcher. I mean, Chapman loves to choke in the playoffs. Nothing better than seeing the Yankees lose.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I may or may not have watched the David Ortiz, the Yankees lose set to various songs, YouTube video about 100 times. But yes, very fun. All right, before we log off here, Kyle, let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, make sure to check me out on Twitter at by Kyle Grondin. That's GRONDIN at by Kyle Grondin. And also at GuyBostonSports.com, where I have a Patriots podcast called the Patriot Way Podcast. Try and put it out every Wednesday. I was dealing with COVID last week, so it came out a day late. But for the most part, I'm trying to get it out on Wednesdays. Yeah, we're still going to have a show on Wednesday, even though, the bye week. Wow. F you, Kyle. That's not nice. Hey, man.
Just so out of nowhere, in the middle of the vlog, just a random F you. Gotta love it.
The Patriot Way Podcast, you can get it on any podcast thing. Great stuff there. And make sure to check it out.
Yes. Also, for me, you can check me out on Twitch. I didn't do it last week. I tried to do it twice a week, but I'm bad at it. But the Rays playoff games have made it difficult. But I'll be back on there soon. Also, I have a Patreon. The link is in the description for that on any of my videos. Check that out. Only $1 a month. Get an extra film study and a power rankings video. So definitely check that out. and Joseph Mack making it all better. Love you, Kyle. Very nice. And Rogue Code says, ha ha ha, JK. Now he's saying my initials. I don't know why he's must be laughing at the fact that I thought it was funny. That still hates you, though, clearly.
Hey, I love the listeners. Thanks for tuning in. This was actually a great show. Good job from everybody coming in and getting on the chat.
Yes. Very much appreciate all the support. We will see you next week. And until then, have a good one.
Peace.